Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we are looking at a VZ53 helmet, which is the standard Czech Cold War helmet, obviously introduced in 1953. You can tell by the shape, it's definitely modeled on the SSH-40 Soviet design, and a lot of times these are actually passed off to unsuspecting collectors as SSH-40s or SSH-39s, but there's some subtle differences which we actually have looked at in another video. This one is an interesting one because it actually came from Vietnam and was brought back from the Vietnam War by a US soldier as a war trophy. Now, a lot actually did go to Vietnam. The Czechoslovakia at the time was, of course, a communist country and was supportive of the North Vietnamese regime. So they sent a lot of equipment, a lot of helmets, and this was one of them. It's in extremely rough condition. You can just see there's all kinds of scuffing and scratching. You know, the top is pretty much devoid of any paint. The amazing thing is there really aren't any major dents on it. So it did see service, a lot of service, but it actually was pretty well taken care of, never got any, combat damage, so to speak of. A lot of these were used on the Ho Chi Minh Trail and were used by anti-aircraft artillery units, as well as a lot of security forces apparently along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. There's quite a few pictures of NVA regulars wearing these and using them in combat. Also, you'll see a lot of East German helmets as well, and we'll do videos on East German helmets in the future. But obviously, again, this one seen a lot of service. Flip it over. Take a look at the interior here. The leather has seen much better days. It probably is in need of some restoration in terms of just getting that leather a little bit more supple. It's pretty dry, and my philosophy on restoration is always minimal is best. So might use some very, very light leather conditioner on it. Certainly don't want to use anything heavy like Neat's foot oil or something like that that really will do a little bit too much restoration to it, if that makes sense. Like to leave things as close as possible to as they were found. You can tell this is a Czech helmet, of course, by the rivet here. That's a split rivet on the chin strap. Very Czech, very much like German Stahlhelm rivets. Also the liner, 8-tongue, typical leather, very much like the original German World War II. The Czechs really liked that system, so they kept it. As you can see, this chin strap is actually broken and has been a field expedient of some twine of some sort has been put back together. Also, the drawstring down in here broke at some point and disappeared, and it almost looks like a bootlace has been used to shore it up. As you can see, even that's in pretty rough shape. So this helmet did see a lot of service. The liner back here has completely ripped out and is falling off the wire rim here. So it's a pretty rough helmet. And what makes it interesting, though, is the documentation that it did come from Vietnam. How much of a premium you put on that as a collector is really your prerogative. It also depends on how much actual evidence that it came from where people say it came from. In this case, we have very good proof of where it came from, and I'm confident in the story that goes with it. But just an interesting example of a Cold War era helmet that is actually a very common military surplus item in unissued condition. But as a Vietnam bringback, it's pretty interesting. You don't see a lot of these. Seems like a lot of US soldiers brought back NVA pith helmets and whatnot, but really not a lot of combat helmets. So just kind of a unusual Cold War era helmet that you might come across sometimes if you're collecting and kind of looking, and they do exist. They are out there, so if you see one for sale, it's not like it is out of the realm of possibility. These also went to the Middle East. They went to Cuba. They have been around, so they can come from other sources. Certainly the Middle Eastern ones usually will be Egyptian, I believe, and usually you'll see some sort of Egyptian characteristics, certainly not hieroglyphics, but maybe some Arabic numerals or Arabic script or whatnot on it. This one is a little bit unusual to me in that it actually, the only stamp inside it is this 72. And usually this would have a Czech cross swords with the date. I don't believe that's the date on this one because it would be pretty late to have made this helmet. And, you know, I just, it's really not the font that you usually see on these for the date. It's usually smaller. And there's really no evidence of a cross swords next to it. Doesn't make a lot of sense that a cross swords that would have been here is completely rubbed off, but the date is pretty legible. Also, unfortunately, in the liner, there was the remains of, look like, actually right here, there's the remains there, and you really can't see it, of a name or a phrase or something, but that's just completely worn off. Leather does that after you've worn it for a while, obviously, and this one's been pretty worn. So, thanks for looking at this one, and we will be looking at more interesting helmets, ordnance, and firearms in the upcoming future. If you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe, and we'll be happy to do a video on anything that we can get our hands on. Thanks for watching.